passion, talent, influence.
That's what we're here to recognize.
A movement that lives right in our own backyard,
Southwest Florida.
So put your glasses up.
Let's give a toast.
Toast to the innovators.
Toast to the creators.
Toast to the go-getters.
The people who wake up every day with a passion to create.
Not for themselves, but for the benefit of the community.
A community that has no limits.
So let's kick back
and toast
to the Goodfellas. Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Southwest Florida, and those listening around the nation. It's your boy Alan.
And it's your boy Nicholas.
And we back, EQ Recording and Multimedia in Fort Myers, Florida. Glad to be back in the studio, bro. Just see something different, you know, see different walls, breathe different air, you know what I mean? So
I miss Josh too. Josh was a character.
Shout out to Josh. Yeah. Our producer.
For real, he's always making moves. But we actually have a special guest here on our podcast today.
Number 16, who we got?
Number 16, we have fellow FGCU graduate Antwon Lindsey. Antwon, he's a filmmaker. He's also a published author here in Southwest Florida. He's making hella moves, and you're going to be able to listen to some in-depth conversation with him. So how you doing, Antwon?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you coming on the show.
First and foremost, bro, how's everything? How you holding up with the coronavirus? And how you just keeping yourself, busy and everything, man?
To be honest, man, life is great, man. Ain't nothing to complain about. Just staying busy at home, working from home. Just simple things, relaxing, enjoying myself, watching the sunset on my balcony. Ain't nothing too bad about the situation, man, for me, for the most part.
Yeah, that's why I be telling people, man. I'm like, man, it could be a lot worse. Like, people are like, damn, I'm here working from home, or I'm not getting out. I'm like, bro, we still got life.
Yeah.
We still got our lives, and we're healthy, so there's really nothing that I can complain about, because I'm pretty sure that you've ran into a lot of people. A lot of people who got laid off, and the unemployment rate in the United States has been at an all-time high. So it's very crazy right now, the situation, and just everything we got, man. Like, not a lot of people have.
Yeah, I think for the most part, in this time, I tell a lot of people, just focus on what you truly enjoy in life. So you got all of this extra time on your hands. What is it that you wanted to accomplish? Plan it out and make it happen.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting you talk about watching the sunset. I think for people who are frustrated, they never really were able to sit down and enjoy a sunset. They always think about maybe the next thing. But when you sit down, relax, and you just enjoy life, you notice that things go by a little slowly, and it gives you time to enjoy things. But anyways, Antwon, where are you from? You from Miami, right?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Liberty City, Miami, born and raised there my whole life. The 305.
Hell yeah, bro. I'm from there too.
Live,
I was waiting for that.
So, I had to drop that in there. But, I've lived there my whole life. I moved up to Fort Myers, 2012. So I continued my education at FGCU. I kind of been here ever since. It's a pretty little chill place, but, it's sometimes it gets a little bit too chill.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you've been here since 2012. I've been here since 2014. So you've seen the growth more than I have, at least. And Nick, you've been here for a while. You've been in
since 2011.
2011, yeah. So, but you can say that it's been growing with a lot of young talent, right? And like getting diversified. Because I feel like the area itself has been getting diversified.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. There's still room for growth. Especially with the young talent down here in Southwest Florida. I feel like there's still not enough avenues for us to get our, potential to its max, where we have the connections and we have the networks where we can build on that. But everything takes time, man. It's like putting the cake in the oven, man. They gotta let it rise. And so,
now you gotta have the right ingredients.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So when you think of Southwest Florida, like as a whole, we seen it, kind of evolve, and from what it is now, you say that you kind of could see that it has room for more avenues for productivity. Has there been like any specific change in specific that you could think of that you like, damn, I'm so happy that this change was made?
I would say As far as when we say change, what you mean? Like
It could be anything. It could be like a new store in the area. It could be like a new apartment complex that was built or something like that.
I'm gonna have to throw a shout out to Poets Ram as well as my boy Brian Franklin over there.
Oh, Brian Franklin's a character.
I gotta give a shout out to them because they've stayed consistent with it, even with all the doors closing in on their faces and things of that nature, where their potential has been sort of marginalized at times. They never gave up. And Brian tell me, "Oh man, you inspire me." I'm like, "Dude, you inspire me. Like I see you consistently doing what you do, and I feed off that energy from people who are go-getters, who just want to do what they came here to do." And for me, it's like looking in this area and we talk about film. Who do we know that's really making film in the state of Florida, in these minority communities or just in these metropolitan areas, and as well as Southwest Florida? So with me, I did my last film, I shot it here. The first film, I shot it in Miami, but I'm like, you know what? Let me do something special in Southwest Florida. Let me go ahead and get the people who are in the community to be in my film. So I reached out to Brian, got him to be in the film. And just kind of trying to bridge those connections where people can see that, it's not a competition out here. We all have our different lanes. I'm not trying to run in your lane. I'm running in mine. But I can also help you, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is that I can do. And he does the same thing. So that's where I've seen the areas of growth, just as the camaraderie of everybody in the area, understanding that art is, it's subjective. It's not all the same, so we don't need to sit up here and try to say, well, my thing is better than yours. Like, nah, bro, yours is what yours is. Mine is what mine is. So I just appreciate that for the most part as we talk about growth in the area.
Yeah, that's very similar, like, to what most of our guests have said on regards to how, the area itself is based on the camaraderie, like you mentioned. No one's in competition with one another, you see that in the bigger cities, Miami, LA, everybody's trying to come for each other, man. Here, it's all love, no matter what. Because everybody's trying to start up. It's a growing city, and the only way we're going to grow is if we keep supporting ourselves, man. B. Frank and Ernell, man.
Oh, yeah.
I look up to them, too, bro. I see them creating stuff, and you're right. They're consistent, and they just organically grow, and just what their niche is, man, just... it really provides a lot of excitement for locals here.
Because it's something that's missing, man. You and I, we're from Miami, so we think about how we can just go any day of the week and there's something to go turn up at. Up here, it's like you gotta figure out what's going on around here. Right?
You gotta make something happen here.
Exactly, and those guys, they I would say they kind of pioneered that, and again, like I say, there's still more room to grow with different things that we can add to the city as far as having that urban experience. I think for the most part, it's more so middle, upper class experience that people get down here where, it's out of our touch because we can't really relate to that. We wanna go turn up. We're not trying to say, oh, my golly, this cheese and crackers is great. We want to say, oh, man, what a Henny at, We're trying to have fun. So it's a different atmosphere. I'm gonna keep it real, 100. Like, it's just that's the thing that I see that's still missing here. But it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time for it to get there, and we're gonna being folks that are sticking around and standing around and doing things, we'll be able to reap the benefits of it and see, just how, progressive the city has become as far as it relates to the acceptance of, urban culture over here in Southwest Florida.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me when I moved over here, the culture shock. You know how Miami is just so different from here.
Completely different.
And it's crazy because it's only 2 hours away, and you would never think, oh man, it's in Florida, South Florida. We're still South Florida. But man, just the culture, the foods, the air,
everything,
the roads, the drivers, the cars, bro. It's crazy to me, man. And I think FGCU has been expanding as well. I think they've been bringing more diverse students in there. The acceptance rate has been higher, so that's kind of helping as well. Some parents are obviously moving here too, finding vacation homes and all that.
Yeah.
So all that, is trickling in.
Yeah, and shout out to a lot of the the fundraisers for FGCU. Shout out to like everybody that donates to FGCU, because that money we see it literally making moves here in the city. So like I just wanted to shout them out real quick. But I wanted to kind of go back to the whole idea of a startup. We want to kind of know like how you started up in terms of filmmaking. What kind of brought you into that passion there?
So what brought me into filmmaking was my first book, Reticent, A Somber Soul and Despair. So I wrote that book. I was an 8th grade science teacher, and students were in class, and it's this portion of the day called Dear Reading Time. So drop everything and read for 30 minutes. And I taught Black, Hispanic students, and they just like how I was when I was a kid. You tell me to read, guess what I'm going to do? Go to sleep or I'm going to talk. So they weren't reading. I'm trying to get them to read as much as possible, and I realized that these books that they got the kids reading, it doesn't resonate with them. So talking with the kids, and we do something called story time, where we just go around the class, tell me what's on your mind, what happened, what was interesting this week, or yesterday, whatever the case may be. And I started thinking about how can I get these kids to start reading more. So I decided that I was going to go ahead and write a book. My great grandmother, she passed away in 2016. So when I started writing the book, it was 2017, and I'm like, man. She always said I was going to do something great. Is it this book? So I wrote like the first few chapters of it, gave it to the kids just on regular paper. I printed it out, handed it to them. Dear Reading Time, they're sitting there quiet. I'm like, wow, okay. Dear Reading Time ends, they're done like the first 2 chapters. Hey, Mr. Lindsey, you going to finish this? I'm like, wow, you like it? They're like, heck yeah, man. Obviously I didn't say heck yeah, but they're like, yeah, I love it. Like, I can't wait to see what happens. So I'm like, all right, just spring break. I'm going to go ahead and get it done. So spring break came around. I sat in the house for 4 days straight, to the point where I had to call my mom, like, Mom, I think I need to go to the hospital. She like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't know, I got a headache. She's like, did you eat? I'm like, dang, you right.
You right. This man didn't eat, bro.
Because I'm working on it, and I feel it. I feel the passion in me. It's like, man, I'm like, this is like live. Like I'm sitting there reading writing and reading at the same time. Like, wow, like this is amazing. So, and I told myself, I have to get this done because I needed to go back home to see my son. So I'm like, listen, Twan, this is your deadline. You got 4 days to write this book. You need to get back to go see Aiden and spend time with him. Wrote the book in literally 4 days. No edited, nothing like that. Just all 12 chapters, wrote it in 4 days. Submitted it to some people to let them review it. They read it. They were like, oh, man, this is amazing. Went through that whole entire publishing process. And then the hurricane came. So I had this, book tour scheduled that I was going to do. And hurricane came and just kind of knocked that off. So I'm like, man, what can I do to still get this idea out there? And by the way, the book Reticent, A Somber Soul and Despair is about a young Black boy growing up in an inner city community, developing an undiagnosed mental health disorder, and thinking about committing suicide. So it's just a lot of parallels from young Black boys who grow up in that area, or just in inner city communities around the nation in general, that may deal with the social pressures of being a young Black boy and having to make certain decisions. Again, fast forward back on track. So I'm thinking, man, how can I get this book, get this message out there? So I'm like, I call my boy, my line brother from my fraternity. I'm like, hey, man, I'm thinking I want to make this into a movie. He was like, yo, that'd be lit. I'm like, all right, cool. A few months go by, it's on my mind, but I haven't, put any effort towards it. Then I remember one of my friends, her name was April. I told her about it. She's like, well, what you waiting for? So I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to say it like that, then let me go ahead and get on it. So I called a few of my other guys up, and I'm like, yo, I'm about to make this book into a movie. What do you think about it? They're like, my boy Marquez, like, well, if you do that, then I'm going to schedule the screenings and all of this other stuff. I'm like, say less. Had no experience with making films. All I knew is that I was going to turn this book into a film. I wrote the book. People loved it. I'm like, so basically I already have a script. Just need to go in here and find out, the main points that I really want to get across in this film. So this is October 2018. October 2018 is when I had the idea and called everybody. No script, no anything. November, we put out casting. Still no script. So we're like, still no script. So we're like, it's happening. Like, we got the flyer. It's like, look, it's going to happen. December, we cast everybody for the film. So we're having our first casting meeting. And it's the same time my uncle passed away. And I was supposed to go to his funeral. So this is the crazy story. I went to a Kinsey Friday night. Saturday was the screening, the script reading with the cast members, the very first one. And guess what I still don't have?
The script.
I still don't have the script.
One of the most important parts.
I still don't have the script. I'm at the Kinsey. I'm like, man, this Kinsey getting a little bit too lit. I got to go write this script. I got to be to Miami tomorrow by 1 o'clock. So I ended up getting home, staying up a little bit overnight, writing the script, waking up, finishing it up. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Like this, they just gonna have to take this script. Get to Miami, we do the script reading. Everybody in there like, oh man, like I love this, man. Like I can relate to this on so many different levels. I'm like, little do they know, I just put this together. So we do that. So that's December. January we start shooting the film. February we wrap up filming. March we have the screening of the film at Barry University with a partnership to them. Shout out to Barry University. June of 2019, we get invited to Facebook headquarters to screen the film and talk about the book. And that was an experience in itself, and just being in that experience, that environment where people are literally all across the United States coming up to me like, oh my God, like this is amazing. I'm so glad that you're doing this, and you got to keep going because we need young men like you to do stuff like this. And I'm like, wow, like the people I don't even know are coming up to me and saying that I should do this, then maybe I really can do this. So over the summer, I had a few more screenings. And then I decided that I wanted to write my second film, which is entitled Color of Love, which is a story about a young two poets, well, a poet and a painter, and how they kind of seamlessly deal with the aspect of love. I don't want to go on something. I'm going on a tangent, but that's kind of how I got started with film. I started from that book, and that book is relevant to my story because it's in dedication to my cousin who committed suicide in 2012. So literally, when I got to Fort Myers, November on his birthday, Thanksgiving, he committed suicide. So I took it all the way back to back to that moment. And it isn't his real story, but it's just things in that book that anybody could relate to, whether you black, white, Asian, Hispanic. You can relate to some of the things that a kid may go through, those struggles of trying to grow up in an environment where you don't feel like your potential is being used at its highest level.
Yeah, man. Actually, I love that idea you had for the book, man, because I was reading this book on Charlemagne. It's called Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me. It talks about, kind of how the cultural stereotypes on basically like getting help or something like that, And growing up like in the inner city and seeing all the traumatic things can, really impact how somebody grows up and all that. But it's important to address that, so that doesn't carry on later in your life. And a lot of people will have that pride. Certain cultures, like the Hispanic culture, they hold on to that shit too, all the time, and like, oh, what do you mean? Like, you feel bad? Like, go freaking,
drink some Vicks on it.
Yeah, exactly. Drink some water, whatever, But it's important to address that, and it's okay to kind of, have struggles through it, and talk through it, and, listen to other people who have, overcame that. So, yeah.
And the fact that, you put it into words and that then you put it into film, like that transition. Some people would like after a book, they were like, you know what, I did what I needed to do. You know what I mean? They wouldn't take that initiative to, keep it going. But one of the things that really, highlighted in my mind when you're talking is that you had the right people around you. You had the people that were like, yo, fuck it, just go do it. Like, you need somebody that's going to be like, yo, just do it. Like, what are you waiting for? Who's going to put that pressure on you? You know what I mean?
think that's the most important thing, too, man, is building that team of, accountable people around you. Because, once you get started, it's easy for you to get lost in doubt and fear and all of those different things. So having people around you that's like, hey, look, you can do this. And it was times where, I felt like, man, you know what? Fuck it, I'm not finna do this. Like, I'm gonna just focus on something else because this isn't it's not working how I want it to. But then I realized, my purpose, and I actually read a book called The Purpose Path, and it's by Nicholas Pearson, Nicholas Pierce, and it talks about, you know, just that journey of how you know, being so young, what is it that you want to do, right? And a lot of times people think that their job is their purpose. Oh, I'm interested in, you know, technology, so I'm going to, you know, be a IT tech, you know, whatever the case may be. But when you're at these jobs and you feeling like, damn, like I'm here from 8 to 5 and my life is being wasted, my potential is being wasted, and there's other things that I want to do. So when you think about what is that other thing that you want to do, that you know that for a fact, if you do it, you'd be happy, you'd be fulfilled. It's your vocation, it's your calling. And with me, you know, film is my vocation, it's my calling. So yeah, you know, I have my job, I'm grateful for it, but it's like, in my mind, I know what my purpose is, and my purpose is to change lives through storytelling. So if I can change people's lives through storytelling, whether it's making books or whether it's, you know, creating content where, you know, we're doing films or whatever the case may be, that's what, you know, I understand my purpose is. And I think for the most part, going back to the point, is that having people around you that will allow you to, you know, manifest that or allow you to bring that into manifestation, it gives you that, you know, like, damn, like I got this. And that's one of the key things that I've been working on as far as me progressing in the film industry independently, because, again, I'm independent. I ain't got the big connections that other people got, you know, and doing all this. And one of the things, too, is, man, is I feel like a lot of motherfuckers, they always work, they focus on what they don't have rather than what they do. Yeah. So me, on the flip side, I'm not worried about, oh, you know, such and such is doing this and doing that. You know, I'm trying to be the next Tyler Perry. I don't give a fuck about all of that. Like, I'm trying to be me. Like, and being me, those people who really love what I do, it will resonate with them. It's going to touch their spirit. It's going to touch their soul. And then they're going to tell other people, hey, you have to go watch Antwon and do this, because at the end of the day, I'm making these films, doing all this stuff is never about me. It's about allowing other people to have their creativity shown through the work that I'm able to provide with them.
You know what's crazy is that you mentioned Tyler Perry, but I literally just watched this show, Black as Fuck, on Netflix, and Tyler Perry's on that show, and he literally said the same exact thing as what you just said in terms of filmmaking. He said that because the maker of Black as Fuck, he makes like Mixed-ish and Blackish, those shows, and he was like, yo, Tyler Perry, how do you do it? Like, how are you, how do you focus all your time on making these great films, and how are you so successful on it? And he's like, yo, I don't worry about what other people, fucking say about my films. I know what my people and the people who watch my films, what they're going through and what they like, and I make, I put my stories out there for them to, appreciate, because they're the ones that appreciate it, not my critics, that don't watch my shit and don't know where we come from. So I was like, yo, that's real. That's crazy. You and Tyler Perry got the same ideas.
I think the biggest thing is too, where if you're trying to develop something, right, you go on like Facebook or Instagram, you kind of trying to get ideas from other people, and you see their content. It kind of, in a way, kind of pressures you. Man, damn, I should do something like this. Where at the end of the day, if that's not your niche or you don't know how to do that, focus on what you're doing best. You master that. It's called mastery. You master that, and then you could trickle on the little things that you want to learn on the side. I think just looking at that, sometimes, it's good to get ideas from other people. And I see that because I just started teaching myself how to video edit, and I see the stuff people do, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm not there yet, bro. I'm not there yet. I know what to do with this certain situation, and I'll get to that level soon. But right now, this is what I can produce, and it's pretty good. That's what I'm going to do, and that's, that's how people should approach it. They think too much about comparing themselves to other people, and that's what gets them stressed, and then, all like competition field,
That fear-based mentality where people feel like, oh man, shit, like I'm not doing what I need to be doing. Like, this person is doing that. Like, man, I don't look at none of that shit. Like, I look at what it is that I'm doing and how I'm going to progress, and I do things strategically. I know a lot of people, they create things so a lot of us are very creative, and we create certain things, and we don't look at it from a business perspective. Like, okay, how can I generate revenue, or how can I actually, do something that's going to be impactful? It's a lot of people create for the moment. They don't create for the lifetime, and I'm creating for the lifetime. I'm creating things, creating content that 10, 20 years from now, people can go back and be like, man, that's relevant.
Yeah.
Like, it's still relevant to this day. So I consider myself the Tupac of the film industry. Because I'm thinking, like, you know, this guy, he has music that we still listen to. And he was making music before we were born and probably just a few years after we were born. And his music is still relevant to the day. So that's how my mentality is. I'm not looking at, you know, people who want to create content just for this moment. I'm looking at, all right, when my grandkids get older, they can go back and be like, damn, like, you know, granddad really did this. Like, this makes so much sense because I can see the parallels. That's and just go back to the point of, you know, inspiration and reaching those goals, man. Like, I literally, my biggest thing is I plan. So I gotta plan shit out. Like, I gotta see it. Like, I don't need to know everything that's gonna happen in between, but I need to know, all right, boom, that's the end goal. All right, now we gotta make these things, you know, put this in order to make sure that we can at least get there. If we don't get the whole piece of the pie, then at least we get 75%. I'm good. Now we can figure out with the 75 that we got, how we can go ahead and reach that 80% and just, you know, progressively get better. I think people cop out when they feel like, oh man, I tried to do this and I ain't get that 100%. It's fucking science. You just trial and error. You do it. You do it. You try it once. If you don't get the results, you change up the variables and try it until you keep on getting what you need. And that's exactly what I'm doing. So I have no doubt about, like, you know, what it is that I'm doing.
You got to set up the hypothesis.
It's not an overnight thing, and I'm sure you saw that when you were filmmaking. You did your first film.
Oh yeah.
Right. You're trying to organize. You're like, fuck. Do I need this? Do I need this? Like. What, I'm all over the place. Is it ever gonna get done? So did you construct a team, and were you basically paying them? Were people, you know, willing to do it for free to help you out? Like, how was the process and going about it?
In the first film, it was a lot of volunteer work. You know, folks came out. They wanted to be a part of it, and I was very appreciative of it. And then it kind of boiled down to you know, just getting the work done and doing things together. The second film, everybody got paid because it's just something that my uncle taught me. He said, look, man, you know, I don't care what a person do for you, make sure you pay them, even if they don't do the best job. You know, make sure you get paid because that's how you earn and keep your respect. You know what I'm saying? Now you got the option of, if they don't do a good job, you don't never have to work with them again, but make sure you pay them. And I took that principle. Everybody got paid. We're moving on to the third film, which is going to be my first feature film, and it's going to be a documentary, you know, taking it back to mental health. It's called Hush, Help Us Say Help, a documentary on mental health in urban America. Love it. You know, even now, right now we're in the casting phase, and I have a casting director. So going back to the first film where I'm doing everything, you know, now I have a casting director, a production manager, a director, you know, my cinematographer. We have the who else do we have? Marketing manager, Jayla, which is a going back to working and getting people. So Jayla, she starred in my last film, Color of Love, and now she's doing the marketing for this film. So just keeping people, I'm big on trust. Like, if you can't get the job done, then your ass ain't working with me. And how I feel is, you either gonna work as hard as I am or harder. I can't accept anything less. And, you know, having those people, back to the point of building that team around you, having people around me that's trying to outwork me is what keeps me on my toes. Having people around me that's like, hey, like, Tony, did you get this? Did you do this? Da, 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 and got me thinking like, oh, damn, you're right. Or people who are bringing solutions to me rather than problems or questions that they can answer for themselves. So bring me some solutions. Give me some options to where I can say, oh, you know what? I didn't think about this. But if I'm always the one giving out the answers, then it's a problem, because you're not, you don't fit with this mold and where we're going at, and it's becoming inefficient, because now I have to spend my time talking to your ass about something that you could have did yourself.
I really don't like the people that, like, you tell, like, if you tell them to do something, they do it, right? But then they ask you what's next. I'm like, okay, like, if you really pay attention to what I asked you to do, you should know what's, like, what the direction we're headed in is. Like, at least, you know, try to, like, you know, brainstorm with me.
Precisely, man. I like forward thinkers, man, where, you know, if there's a situation you get a task, you can go ahead and say, all right, I got this, but I'm also thinking about this. What do you think about this, Antwon? I'm like, hey, that's a brilliant idea. I never thought about that. But if it's always, all right, so what do you need me to do next? Like, shit, I don't know. I got to think about this shit. What do you think you need to? What do you think you need to do next?
It kind of reminds me of like if someone is going to a job interview and they don't know a specific skill. They go to the interviewer and they're like, yeah, just teach me. It's like, no, go learn it yourself, and then you come and help me out because I don't got time to train you like that. It's not that type line of work. We don't have like a training system. You don't have a training system. You're either in it with me.
We ain't got one yet, but this coming.
Yeah. But like but starting off, like every startup kind of has like you kind of on the fly sometimes. Even with us, like when we did the podcast, like we're like, damn, how are we gonna structure this and all that? But it would help to kind of like at least gotta know a little bit, man. So you don't gotta ask those questions of what do I do next? It's like, dude, do you understand the big picture of what I'm doing? If you understand the big picture, then you don't really gotta ask that question. You know what I mean?
But I will tell you this though, man. From my last experience with the film, with Color of Love, I really learned having the outline. Even if I don't know what's really going on in between and we just figure things out, but having the general outline from, pre-production to post-production, what's going to happen and giving that to people, that is what makes the process a whole lot easier because people can see the in-betweens of what's going to happen, even if they don't even specifically have a job to do within that process. So it's a lot of learning and I'm big on reading too, bro. Like I don't know, man. I just feel like reading really elevates the mind. So a lot of people, they come into the realm of creativity where it's like, oh, I'm just watching. I'm just watching what this person is doing. I'll take a little bit from there, take a little bit from there, and add this into my repertoire. But if you don't read, you won't know shit at all. Yeah. So you have to read, grab books, and figure out, okay, what is it that I don't know that this person knows? And one of the people who as far as book suggestions, I listen to Jay-Z and what he says and the books that he's read. And I'm like, man, like I see why he's gotten to the point that he's at. Because all of the books that he's read literally tells you how to be a boss. How to be the person that when people come to you, they see solutions and not problems. They see, they see wealth, they see health, they see all these different things versus you being someone who's just, I'm a creator, but, oh, so what have you read? What you mean what I read? Like, so how do you know this? How do you structure all of this? We just kind of like do it like this. Okay, so you don't really have any practical experience in building something. You're just doing whatever kind of person, right? Oh, nah, man, like, nah, you hating. No, I'm not hating. I'm just being very, clear on what's going on here. You don't know what you're doing, but you want us to support this. I can't support that. And when we look at, and I'm going on a tangent, but fuck it.
No, I mean, they're kind of doing shit on the fly, but when they hit that point where they need to be a boss, they're kind of lost because they're not hearing anything or reading anything.
You don't know how to be a boss.
Exactly.
In your mind, you a boss. Yeah, I'm a boss. That's okay. So, boss man, show me some shit. Show me what you know. What you doing, boss man? How you
They're gonna eventually run into that situation where they're like, "What do I do?" And that's where reading books. And I actually read Jay-Z's last book that Michael Eric Dyson wrote. Really good book. I definitely recommend it, especially if you're a Jay-Z fan. But yeah, you get so many ideas on how to handle stressful situations because what you do is stressful. I can tell. I bet it is. Like filmmaking, any type of media is hard.
I would say for me, man, this go around, I made it a little bit easier because, again, it goes back to planning. So I got my master's in public administration, and that's all that shit is about, planning. How do you effectively plan? How do you make sure that you're building systems that are functional and working efficiently? So using that along with reading more books on, doing things. So another book I read is called Contagious. And I also think back to another point I made earlier is people don't look at it from a business perspective. Like, we're doing film, but at the end of the day, who are we targeting? What is our target audience? What are our goals? What are the things that we want to go ahead and get done? And those are just things that I look at from a broader perspective because it's like, we're going to create this film. What is the purpose of this film? And when people watch it, what are they gonna get out of it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And in my creative process, I look at three things. You know, the creatives. So when people are looking at it, you know, who are creatives, they're looking at the angles, they're looking at the colors, they're looking at, you know, the sounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the learners. So people who don't know anything about what it is that I'm doing, but they're learning about what I'm doing, and they're even learning about the content in the film, right? And then we have the thinkers. So the people who are, you know, on a higher level of thinking, and they want to fact check everything, make sure that everything is correct. So I'm making my films for those three target groups, because it's like, if we don't tackle those people, then we're not tackling anything. And if we just focus on one, then now we left everyone else out, and now it's like, oh, then you get that, oh, I don't like what he's doing, this. But again, the shit ain't for everybody.
Yeah.
But at least I want to make sure that my content flows across those three boards, because then I can have a diversity in opinions about what it is that I'm doing. I can take what I want, leave what I don't, and move forward with that. So that's just another part of my thought process in filmmaking.
That's why I really like marketing overall. Like marketing just in general, like, you know, it breaks down those specific categories that everyone looks for, and you got to come up with the, you know, the right algorithm, the right, you know, technique to hit specific markets. And like, when you really break it down, at the end of the day, people will say, yo, that's madness, because at a certain point, it kind of is madness.
Oh yeah.
And you gotta kind of have, like, you know, that lucky hit every now and then. But there is a method to that madness, and then when you know how to navigate through that, bro, like the possibilities are endless. And I'm just happy, like, we have, you know, creatives and people here in the area that is just as driven, like yourself and you know, previous guests, that want to see this area thrive, but they also want to bring something of value to this area. You know what I mean? Not just like, oh, I'm here and I'm gonna leave. Nah, you did something here. You were creative here, and now this is, you know, this is a part of you. This is part of your history.
It's the backyard right now.
Yeah, so like, and I feel like that's important with anybody, that any place you go, you should, you know, bring value to it. You shouldn't, you know, just take from it. And that's just my opinion. But I wanted to go back to something that you had talked about, is, you know, getting things done under pressure. I feel like I do a lot of good work under pressure. Like, even when I was in college, like writing papers and stuff, under pressure.
11:59, you're writing it at 11:50.
Bro,
11:50.
like diamonds, bro. There was a paper I remember getting where I got like an A+ on it, and the teacher was like, "This is some of the most fantastic work I've ever saw." And I'm
an hour ago.
I'm embellishing, but I was like, "Yo, I kind of wrote that like today." Today. I didn't even take it nowhere to get it like second looked. I just submitted that shit. But like, it is important. Like, I feel like if you work best under pressure, you should have a plan. Don't get me wrong. You should definitely have a plan. But if you work better under pressure, then maybe you should put some more pressure on yourself, or have other people put some pressure on you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, to be real with you, I realized that even for me, like, I'm good under pressure, but I don't want to be under pressure, because I want to be at ease. Because again, it goes back to the idea of being a boss. If I'm a boss that's always working under pressure, everybody around me gonna be in chaos. So nothing is gonna seem functional. I'm always gonna be stressed out. How is it gonna transition to my health, my relationship, things like that. So I want to plan things out in advance so we can look at it and say, all right, we knew that was gonna happen. So let's go ahead and make things work a little bit easier. So again, like I say, this film right here, we're planning everything out so meticulously because I want to alleviate some of that pressure. It's almost like, if someone bumps their head or something like that, you know what I'm saying? You gotta ice it, you know what I mean? But you can also avoid that if you didn't jump on the bed. Like,
for sure.
You know what I mean? So, and that's just kind of the things that I'm putting into practice, is understanding like, certain things are avoidable and certain things aren't. And when we cross that path where it just, oh, we didn't expect this to happen, then we get there. But for the most part, planning effectively alleviates most of that pressure and people feeling like they have to work under pressure, because when you're working under pressure, it does give you, so case in point, we did the film Color of Love. We were out on the beach for like 2 hours, right? And we weren't supposed to be out there that long, but we were being so creative because we had the space to do that, right? Yeah. And then we realized, holy shit, we were running out of time for today's shoot. and we started running under pressure. So now we're missing things that we should have done and, you know, shit like that. And we get back to the editing, post-editing, like, damn, man, we could have done this and we could have done that. And it's all because we were working under pressure. So being able to prevent that by planning effectively and making sure you have accountable people around you to keep you on track, that's where I'm heading at. Because I don't want to get to that space again where, you know, I'm running out of time and now I have shit that I'm looking like, damn, we could have definitely did better on that. Yeah. But if I got the time and, you know, it's just like, damn, you know, we didn't think about this, we had the time, we were comfortable with it, I'll be fine with that versus fuck, we ran out of time.
I feel you. Bro, Alec could definitely attest to this. I'm somebody who likes to create templates for things. Yeah. Like even for the frat, like all I would do is just create like systems or like templates of how to do something, because I never really, you know, found the value of creating like an agenda or a template in something until like I really needed it in college. Like especially writing a paper. I never really, you know, cared too much about creating an outline for a paper until I started creating outlines and I realized, yo, writing this paper is way easier now that I got an outline than it is, you know, just formulating it on the spot. And like, I feel like people don't really like take into account how like useful an agenda, a template. Like even if you can't think of one yourself, there's dozens of templates online for things that you can find. Yep. And once you do your research on it, I'm telling you, your life will be a lot easier. It's kind of like learning how to use your phone for the first time. Once you know what these symbols mean, you always know what those symbols mean, and now it's easier for you to navigate through the phone.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
No, you know, sometimes, Antwon, like, and let me know if this happens to you too. When I do something, you know, when I'm working on something really hard, I feel like it looks good, but then I'm the type to always scrutinize the littlest thing. And then I just keep doing it over and over and over again. Does that happen to you when you're like, when you're doing like filmmaking or anything like that? You don't like a specific scene or anything, so you're like, nah, let's do it again. But to everybody else, it looks good. But like to yourself, you just notice the littlest thing because it's yours.
Yeah, I would say that in a sense, I'm a perfectionist. I tend to think that we can always do better, but I have learned the value in and making sure that you don't over, you know, scrutinize yourself, because at the end of the day, we become our worst critics. Yeah. We'll look at some shit and be like, oh man, like even Color of Love. What was it? It must have been like a few days ago, I watched Color of Love, and it's been like a month since I watched it. I don't go back and be like, damn, I should have, because I already know I did it. You know what I'm saying? I can't go back and change it. And even during the editing process, it's certain things that is like, we just got to leave it as it is, bro. If they notice it, they notice it. If they don't, they don't. Yeah. But it's never really anything like too significant of the fact. But I try not to scrutinize myself so much, even when it comes to writing the scripts. Like I told you, I wrote that script the day of the script reading. I went back, looked over it a little bit more, edited some of the words, and boom, we out with it. The second script for Color of Love. I looked at that bad boy. I'm like, man, I like it, but there's just something missing from it. And then I added something, and then I left it as that. I sent it to everybody. Everybody loved it. I left it as that, because I try not to, you know, be overly critical about my content, because it's a learning process. It's a, you know, like you said, a hypothesis. You put it out there. If I do this, then this will happen, because boom, that didn't happen. Now let's change up the variables and see what we can make happen better the next time. Yeah. And
that's solid advice. I need to take that for sure.
Yeah.
I remember growing up and they were running through the scientific method. I was like, what the fuck am I going to use this for? You know what I mean?
Life.
And then look at this. We're fucking talking about it right now. You use that bit
through life. And the reason I related to it, because I was an 8th grade science teacher. Yeah. And I'm looking at it, so I'm like, God damn, this is exactly what I'm doing. This is literally life. You create something. You start off with an idea of what you want it to look like. You start working on it, knows your variables. Then you go ahead and you get your conclusion. You're like, damn, this ain't really what I wanted, but let me try it again. You switch it up a little bit more, and now you see it starting to get better and better and better. And before you know it, people are calling you a genius now, because of you just practicing and doing it over and over and changing the variables and making sure that you get it right. And now people around the world are going to be loving the content that you're creating. So that's just kind of how I look at it. And that's why I don't put too much pressure on myself about, you know, creating and putting this out and putting that out. Like, if because I feel like I am a brand. I know that I'm a brand, Antwon Lindsey. So if I put some shit out and it's subpar, people gonna be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why is he putting that out? You know what I mean? So I'm not putting anything out until it's been, there's a method behind the madness, and we've strategically mapped this out, and I can see, and other people can see, oh, he's thinking big. He's not just thinking on those, local level. So with the film Hush, we're going to be doing a national tour. First film, no tour, just a few screenings. Second film, Color of Love, a tour. We did 5 cities in the U.S. This film, we're probably going to do like 30 cities. Partnerships and sponsorships from different universities, nonprofit organizations, all of that good old jazz, because I'm looking at the bigger picture here. People think, and again, and it goes back to, like we talked about, being a boss mentality. You can't be a boss if all you're thinking about is what's inside that box. Yep. Think outside of it. Think outside of that box, because that box is a limitation. And you place those limitations on your talent, your gifts, that's all you're going to be. And you're going to wonder, well, damn, how come this opportunity ain't happening to me? How come I can't get this? Because look where you at, bro. You still in the same motherfucking place you was in last time. Yeah. You're not growing.
You got to think macro, but you got to work in micro.
Literally. Yeah. Think macro, work micro, because those little steps, it's like building a house. You don't just say, all right, boom, house. Nah. You got to put the bricks together. You got to
set the foundation.
Right. You got to set the foundation, and then it progressively gets, to where it's going to be. So,
so for everybody out there that got that person like, why you doing this? Fuck around and be like, why not, bitch?
Really?
Why not?
Shit, why not, bro? You're gonna go through growing pains.
Or if they, why you doing this? Fuck you.
That's why.
Fuck you. Yo, it's not for you.
Just a quick comment I wanted to make about you giving that book to your students, man. I really like how you basically accommodated to them, you know, because they were obviously like you said, when they're reading, like, hell no, they don't want to read and go to sleep and all that shit. And I feel like the education system nowadays, they don't really accommodate to the students. They're just given to what's given on the curriculum, and they follow that. And if you don't follow that, then that's it, you know. And I feel like, especially with, Hispanics, blacks, they come through like a different type of culture, depending obviously where you grew up in. But like, for instance, like my parents, man, they grew up in a very poor country, you know, and like compared to somebody who's lived in the U.S. who doesn't know about that stuff, so sometimes you got to tailor towards other people's personalities, especially young kids like that, you know. And I really like that you did that, bro, because I feel like more teachers should do that, The education system, I think, like, we go through college, at least for me, I learned shit, but am I the smartest guy and know everything about my major? I probably don't, and that's why I feel like the education system is like very, not flawed in a way, but at the same time,
say that shit. Bro, it's flawed. That is flawed, bro.
It's flawed. It's flawed, bro. Education system is flawed, bro.
It's flawed.
We could go on a whole fucking tangent on that.
But I'll be brief.
I feel like teachers, educators need to accommodate to what they're dealing with, bro.
I'll be brief on that, man. The education system isn't designed for students to truly go and understand their vocation. It's designed for students to go in the classroom, take a standardized test, at the end of the day, show a result, so that way the school district can get some funds. Right? Most teachers, when you talk about Title I schools, they don't have the experience of dealing with these kids. They don't have the experience of dealing with kids who grew up in, impoverished communities. So they get in these classrooms, and instead of them trying to get to understand who they are, they want to be the authoritarian in the classroom. Sit down before I kick you out and all this other stuff. Come on, man. Like, I ain't got time for that. You want to get out, you can get out. But we finna have fun in here. We gonna turn up. We gonna learn. We gonna have, and I'm accommodating because it's that cultural competency. I know what it's like to be you. Yeah. But if you want to make it hard on yourself in this class, then that's fine too. You can do that. I'm never gonna kick you out. You're just gonna sit there. You're gonna have to move your seat. You know what I'm saying? And that's just that. But if you really want to disrupt the class, then you can just go ahead and get out. And that's just kind of how I laid the foundation with my students. And most times, again, like I said, you have teachers who are working at these schools who they don't have that passion, to change a kid's life and touch their heart. It's, I'm here to get a check, and I'm here because I want to be a teacher, but I don't really know the essence of what it means to be a teacher. I just have my degree, and I know this is what they taught me in school, so now that I'm here, let me try to practice this shit that they taught me in school. But you realize that none of that shit is working, because these badass kids ain't from the fold. They gonna get on you. And I'm not saying that they bad, but they're eager to want to be loved. That's what it really is. So when they're like, oh, these kids bad. No, they probably don't get any love at home. So when they come to class, this is the time where they can actually get to kind of be themselves. Yeah. And they can joke and play around and stuff. And, you know, and sometimes they get a little out of hand. You got to check them like, hey, sit down. Yeah. What? Like, this is not about to happen. Yeah. So I mean,
it's their safe zone because like in the inner city, you might not be confined at home, but you're confined in the area.
And that that square mileage.
You can't express yourself like that outside because something bad can happen to you. Whereas in school, you can express yourself like that, but it's not. You're not on the streets.
The repercussions are completely different. You're gonna be like, oh, you gonna send me to ISS? Man, fuck this shit. You know what I'm saying? Flipping desk, and now you just go to ISS for 20, 30 minutes.
I'm not gonna go and like get jumped or anything like that.
You're not gonna get arrested and go to jail because you out there saying fuck this shit, and you have somebody, corner store or something.
Right.
It's you're in class. It's their release. They're there 8 hours most out of their day. You know, so the teachers, they literally have to become their parents. And some of these, I'm not your mom. I'm not your man. Look, I am. So,
bruh, this self-biography that you're gonna have one day, that shit's gonna be lit. First of all, I feel like you need to have some teaching 101 book they need to write or some shit. You need to get that popping too.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to check out your films. I'm gonna have to read your books for sure, bro. I love what you described on there, man.
AntwonLindsey.com.
Yo, so we have a tradition here on this podcast. As the last question, we have all of our guests answer the same question. Damn, I'm like making love to the mic. Hold up. So the question is, if you could have a toast or give a toast to Southwest Florida and the people of it, what piece of advice would you want to leave them with?
Piece of advice I would want to leave people in Southwest Florida with. I think it's a quote from Willy Wonka. It's my favorite movie. He say, "We are the makers of the music. We are the dreamers of the dreams." And what that means is we can do whatever it is that we put our mind to. So don't allow people to come over here and cast doubt on what you got going on. Just, again, say fuck it and do it. Try it until you figure it out. And when you understand what your vocation, what your purpose is in life, do it, because you'll work this 9-to-5 job and they'll slave you till you die. But then, and as soon as you die, they're gonna replace you. So do what it is that makes you satisfied as far as creatively, and just go out there and understand that it's a process, trial and error, and never give up.
Yo, I know Alan wants to say something to that toast.
that was deep, bro. Willy Wonka, I think it's the first shot from Willy Wonka we've had on there.
That's my nigga.
You gotta keep it different, bro. You gotta bring some different flavor here sometimes, bro. Absolutely. Appreciate you for coming on, bro. Any special shout outs you want to give to anybody out there, bro?
Special shout out to my son Aiden. That's my world right there. Special shout out to my mom, my family, Southwest Florida family here. Shit, fuck it, nobody else, man. I'm out here. Special shout out to God. Shout out to just a lot of great people in this world. Shout out to my bae. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that. She probably gonna watch this and be like, "Why are you telling people?" But we gonna keep that on the low. That's just the kind of person she is, and I love that about her, because I'm not really into letting everybody in my business. But that's about it.
Where can the people find you? I know you have AntwonLindsey.com.
Where can they find you? Where can they watch your films and purchase your books?
So you can do both at AntwonLindsey.com. You can find me on social media, Instagram, Facebook at Antwon Lindsey. Type it in and I'll populate up. That's where you can find me, and just be on the lookout for Hush. It's going to be a really big deal nationally. We got so many big people that are involved in this. I just keep it on the low because I don't want to block my blessings. But it's going to be amazing.
That's dope, man.
Bet. Antwon Lindsey, everybody.
Don't steal my line. Don't steal my line.
He's mad I stole his line, his outro last time, but
another episode in the books.
You already know, man. Drink your celery juice, everybody. We out of here.
We out.
Peace.